So Front is the simplest way to work with team inboxes. And a team inbox is an email address like info at or contact at, sales at, press at, etc.
So it sounds like a fairly useful thing, but also kind of specific, but it actually seems like you're being used by like a pretty wide range of different companies, right?
It's true. I think the good thing is every company has this issue, and today we have lots of different use cases. So for example, Dropbox is using it for the product team, Expensify for their sales team, MailChimp for their partnerships team, and Slack for their account management teams. But I think the overall idea is just to turn email into something that's made for teams, and that's useful for a bunch of different services and industries.
So what is like, can you talk a little bit more about how someone would actually use it? How does the team use Front?
Yeah, sure. So let's say you're TechCrunch. It's a real use case, and you have...
We used it for the startup management team.
Exactly, and so you have people reaching out on this battlefield@techcrunch.com address, and you want to make sure that you will reply to all those messages, you want to have templates of answers, you want to comment and mention a few teammates to know what they think about that company or that company. So you can easily do that in Front. You have that shared inbox, and you assign to the different teammates, you comment, you mention, everything is in real time, and you can reply to all of them 10 times faster.
Okay. And so you started out as a desktop app, which launched last year, and then you recently launched an iOS app, right?
Exactly. So we launched it 2 weeks ago, and it's great. I think it was finally the great timing to do it. Because, I mean, people are on the go all the time. They receive email all the time, and they don't have time to reply to those emails. So I think it's a huge relief if I can assign it to you, and I can make sure that it will be taken care of in a timely manner, and without having to wait to go back to my desktop.
Because I think, I mean, for a lot of the startups we cover, they'll either launch with the mobile app first, or it'll be, I think the idea of having like a startup that's desktop only for like a year seems almost kind of crazy at this point. Was that a little tough?
Yeah, I think it's not intuitive, but I think Front is a work product, and I think the vast majority of work is still done on desktop. And so even if it was missing, we had like hundreds of companies that were using and paying for the product before we had the iOS app.
So in terms of what's next, actually, you guys have done something interesting because you put your product roadmap online, right?
It's true. So we've decided to make it public, and so everyone can see what we're working on, what we will release next.
So what are you going to release next?
On Wednesday, we'll release our Salesforce integration, and all the people that have built softwares before know how big of a deal it is.
Is your team 100% confident that they will be releasing it on Wednesday?
They have to, because it's public, and we've been given this deadline, so we have to do it now.
Why did you decide to put that online? That seems like a lot of extra stress.
I think the value that we get out of it is far bigger than the downside. So just being able to let people vote for the feature they want to see, I think is good. So whenever we decide on the roadmap, honestly, it takes like 2 minutes to know what we're going to build next. Also, I think our customers trust us, and they like this transparency, and it's also all about like the culture that we have in the product that we try to build, which is aimed at giving more transparency within companies. So overall, it's been great, and we've seen a few other companies like do that, and I think if more companies could do that, it could be great.
Has the roadmap changed at all as a result of the fact that your customers can see it and provide feedback? Yeah,
sure. So for example, just the example of the mobile app, we wanted to do an Android and iOS app, and then when we put those two cards online and we saw that the iOS app was voted 100 times more than the Android app, we decided just to launch the iOS app first.
So if somebody is sitting there like really bummed that there's no Android app yet, it's their own fault, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the fault of every person here.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to ask was, so we're here in San Francisco, you were part of Y Combinator, which is a Bay Area-based program, but actually most of your team was in France until relatively recently, is that right?
Yeah, it's right. So we started the company in France, then we got accepted to YC, so we moved here, and then the whole team had to go back to France for a year, and they just finally came back here.
Okay, how are they liking it?
I think they like it, but I think the interesting thing is it's a choice that most European companies don't make. So either they keep their whole team in Europe or their tech team in Europe. I think they do that for like 2 reasons. First, to avoid competing on salaries with Silicon Valley companies. But to me, what they save on cash, they lose it on speed of execution and efficiency. So that's what we've decided to try to optimize for right now.
I would imagine the other difficult thing though is just telling people, okay, like pick up and like bring your life to a completely different country.
Yeah, it's true, but then they could see that all our customers were here, the weather was good, our investors were willing to help, and they're here. So I think it was quite easy as a software company to make them realize that the company is more likely to be successful if we come here.
Great, well, thanks a lot for joining us. I think we're going to, you still have a few more minutes before we go to the main stage, but in the meantime, if people want to check it out, they can go to frontapp.com, right?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome, thanks a lot.
Thank you.